Mayor Wagner. This is the first time we hear from you since election day.
Mhm.
I kind of want to first talk about how you feel and kind of the feelings of in general being mayor for 4 years and kind of what you hope for within the future.
Yeah. So, being mayor for the last 4 years has truly been like the greatest privilege of my life. I've been so blessed throughout my entire life. I have an amazing family, amazing wife, amazing kids. And so to be able to serve in that capacity, it was really a dream come true. Growing up in Caldwell, graduating from Caldwell High School and just being a part of that community for so long, it's a privilege that it's tough to explain unless you've really been through that and just to see the way that you're able to impact a community, impact the people that live there, the employees at the city. And it was just the most amazing experience, to be honest, for those 4 years.
And in that turnout that night, I mean, what was your reaction and feelings towards, not being elected again?
It's always tough in an elected position, and that's what I told people. You never know the outcome. That's why it's so important to vote and to try to get as many people out to vote. And we did have a better turnout, but it still needs to be better in the future. There's so many people that just don't vote, and it's important to have your voice heard. And the voices were heard, that did come out. And unfortunately for those that didn't, theirs weren't heard. But it was heartbreaking for sure. We worked really hard. That's where I take solace. I'm a man of faith, and I felt that we were doing what we were meant to do at that time, and we worked really, really hard and right up to the very end. And so we did what we could on that. So I feel good about that. But it's a difficult thing to swallow and to accept. But I'm excited for the future of Caldwell and hope that it can continue on the path that we've been able to start from Mayor Nancolas to myself. We're on an incredible trajectory right now in Caldwell for sure.
Yeah. Now, going to, with everything, our mayor elect, there was a voice memo that was leaked
Mhm.
and it has been now to the public. What was that initial reaction when you heard the voice memo and just kind of the feelings that you felt
Mhm.
hearing it?
Yeah. So, and I just heard it for the first time yesterday, actually. And, as elected officials, you have to realize that you are held to a higher, level of responsibility and a higher standard. And you need to strive to meet that standard at all times. Now, none of us are perfect and we're all going to fall short, but we have to realize the implications of what we do as elected officials. It's so much greater than just the general public. And you've got to realize that. And those are things that you learn as an elected official and as you move forward in that regards. And so what you say can be interpreted so many different ways. And I learned that really early on as an elected official, where you would make a suggestion to, say, a staff member to say, this sounds like it might be a good idea. And then before you know it, there's an email saying, well, the mayor asked for us to do this. And it's like, wait, I didn't. I just said this was a good thought. And so you realize real quick that your words have so much power, whether you're an elected official or a mayor-elect, individual that's going into that office. And so you have to realize the power of the words that you say and the negative effect they can have on a community and on employees of a city.
In the voice memo, there's a statement that I continue to ask. I've asked Carlos Hernandez on how he felt when he heard it, and now I'm asking you. In the memo, it states the chief and his cronies, he, they hope to get rid of
Mm-hmm.
them. What is that initial reaction when you heard that? And kind of, in a sense, is there a fear in who is the cronies? As he stated, the chief, but not the cronies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say there definitely is. I've heard from several employees already. And that goes back to, as an elected official, that responsibility to do better and to be better. And when you make those general statements, that there was obviously an individual, pointed out our police chief, current police chief, and then the additional, as you mentioned, the cronies that was said. And that could be anybody really at the city. And so there is fear on that. And so you've got to realize the power of those words and what effect it can have on a business, on a community, on a city in that regards. And so yeah, I've heard from several employees that have concerns. And the my intent as mayor was always to lead with integrity and lead with transparency. And I know that those things have been, kind of attacked on me in the past by individuals and by groups on Facebook and other things of that nature. But I can say that I've always led with integrity. And even though people felt there wasn't the transparency that needed to be, we were as transparent as we could be regarding employee matters. We cannot release everything. And then it's also important to know people think that I make all the decisions. The mayor does not make all the decisions. And even the decisions I did make were in consultation with our human resources director, with our city attorney, and taking them into account as what should be released, when should it be released, when does it need to be brought to the city council. In the form of government we have, the city council is not full-time employees. They're not over any employees. They appoint the appointed officials, but even after that, they don't report to them. They report to the mayor. And so it was important that we discuss that with the city attorney, and then through the direction that he gave is what was released to the city council in that regard. So it was not just me making those decisions in that regards. It was always through the city attorney and also the human resources director is needed in that regards.
Is there a big impact that can happen if, per se, our mayor-elect does decide to come in as what he stated in the voice memo to come in hard, firing chief and cronies?
Yeah, and that is, a difficult thing. You would hope not, right? And it's easy to say something, but your actions speak so much louder in that regards. And so that's where what are your actions and what are the things you're portraying in that regards. And I know that there's been a lot of things again said that even in there's a debate on another channel in which Mr. Phillips, the mayor elect, in that stated that in regards to me with the employees and saying that I appreciated them, but then why are you firing these employees? It was always, hearing everything out. You've got to do that as an elected official. You can't just listen to one side, to the loudest voice, especially if that's on your side and your group of people. You need to listen to everything. And I can say without a doubt that we did that as we went through the difficult decisions of letting certain employees go, we did the research, we did investigations, discussed it with the city attorney. This was never the mayor coming in and saying, we're going to fire this person. We always got together and discussed it, and we looked at that. We try to give opportunities for improvements on those things, and again, did those investigations, and through the city attorney and the discussions there is what led to some of those ultimate terminations at the end. But it was always listening to both sides. You can't just listen to the loudest voice, listen to the one side. You need to gather all the facts, and then you make an informed decision.
And you kind of talking about that, I do have a question on that. Is it typical for a mayor to come in and make leadership changes? I mean, you came in and there was a change
Mm-hmm.
in chief, and I'm sure that created a huge change from the former chief to now our current chief, Rex Ingram. Is that typical for a mayor to come in like that?
So it can be, right. It is a lot different than a mayor, and the appointed officials is much different than you almost do you liken it to the president and the cabinet. They have it's night and day difference, in that regards. And so it's not like that where you do come in and basically the staff is kind of overturned, especially that leadership portion. So you want to work with the people that are there, but there is going to be a natural turnover. Especially with Mayor Nancolas had been there for 24 years. There are several, appointed officials and others that had been waiting, like I'm going to just wait it out and I'll retire with Garrett. And so we did have some of that attrition through that. Obviously there was a new police chief that we did end up hiring, fire chief as well at that time. And I know that the fire chief had actually retired a few months before that I became mayor. And to Garrett's to his credit, he did not appoint at that time. He allowed for the new mayor, which was myself, to come in and be able to appoint a new fire chief at that time. And so there was a natural attrition that happened. Some styles are a little bit different in that regards. And so you do see, maybe some appointed officials looking at other places. And one thing, and this, there's a lot of things that we've done amazing these last 4 years and some things that we are so proud of. And one of those was really focusing on our employees. I cherish the employees at the city of Caldwell and what they do. I have so much respect for them. And I wish that people would, rather than just listening to a few of the loud vocal critics that are out there, we have 400 other employees. Go and talk to them and ask them what they feel that I've been able to do for the city, and to get their honest feedback and opinion, because that's what really matters in that regards. But it's important to just, know that there are people out there that are being affected by this, and I care about those people and those employees. I want to make sure that they feel assured and trusted in moving forward, and that they can go home and sleep at night.
Yeah. And one of my last questions to you is, we've posted this story and it's all over social media and news. A lot of them have said that they voted for this, that they voted for Phillips to get rid of Ingram and his cronies. What would you say to those voters that most of them are community members?
To be honest, and I'm just going to be very frank, it breaks my heart. I grew up in Caldwell. I love Caldwell. And to be honest, I think Caldwell is better than that. The people that live there, the people that founded Caldwell in this, in that regards, that we need to give people a chance. And you need to find the facts. You've got to get all the information gathered. And that's what makes it so difficult, is that really none of these people have all of the information. Not even, the mayor-elect has all that information until he's sworn in. And then you can review those files and look at everything. I've had that opportunity. The city attorneys had that opportunity to review that. And then that's when those decisions were made and things were moved forward. And in regards to, again, personnel matters and anything that may or may not have happened in regards to, with Chief Ingram or any other official, is privy for that, and that's to protect the employee for both ways. But it was always investigated, everything was looked through, and again, decided not just by myself, in consultation with the city attorney and others, is what is the proper path to move forward in these regards. So I wish people would give a chance and try to learn more and get all that information that they can before passing judgment on that. And I really hope that this isn't what Caldwell voted for. We need trust, we need respect, and we need to make sure that the people that are leading our city have that for everyone that they represent, because they represent everyone in the community, not just certain groups or factions.
In this sense, to kind of close out, I mean, you have not been elected. Do you hope better for your city in the future with our new mayor elect and those that have been elected for council, and kind of what you hope for the city of Caldwell within its next 4 years and on? We have growth, we have infrastructure, we have so much coming to our city within these next few years. What do you hope within that?
I will always hope for great things for Caldwell. It's my heart, it's my home, it's my community. I grew up there, I lived there, and so I hope and pray for the best for our community in Caldwell, and that it will continue to exceed expectations of everyone around us. And I think that's truly, the mark of a great leader, is you want the best, whether you're there leading it or it's your time to depart. You want that success to continue, and that is my hope and prayer for Caldwell, that it continues to succeed. The amazing thing also about being a part of the Caldwell community, being the leader of the Caldwell community, is the interactions and the relationships that you create with the people in Caldwell and across the Treasure Valley. And while it was very sad for me to not be able to continue in that role, the outreach of support of people that I trust and that I respect, and not just me, these are people of influence throughout the Caldwell community, the Boise Valley, the state, and the entire country, that have reached out and shown me so much support. And so I'm excited for my future. I'm excited for Caldwell, and I hope and pray for the best for that community.